Hi, my name is Natalie Trosper, and this is my video submission for chapters 17 through 18, R2D2. And that prompt being, at a family dinner, my relative argues the American dream, and that regardless of social influences, access is available to everyone equally. I would explain to my dearest relative that their statement is incorrect, factually and morally. In America and all around the world, there are many branches and dividers that separate generations of people. This being in a micro symbolic interactionist understanding of how individuals react within society and that how they are treated within society. Different branches and dividers being that their social status, their family social status, the environment that they grew up in, the environment that they are surrounded in, the education, family dynamics, mental and emotional understandings, physical ability, sexual orientation, their sex and gender, their age, and etc. These different dividers are not what in history are what separate people. The whole the fact that women didn't have rights until almost 100 years ago, that men chose to see themselves more superior than women, that they were able to divide this country based on this opposite fact. And that is just a harmful social construction. I would continue saying relative. Not everyone has the same benefits or privilege available to them. Access is not available to everyone equally. As they had stated, I'd say relative. You are incorrect. That you are incorrect in saying regardless of social influences, access is available to everyone equally. Dearest relative, access is not available to everyone equally. My relative carries on their conversation, their point of the argument, saying that regardless of social status, everyone can compete for high-paying jobs, that with benefits and retirement accounts that are beneficial, some very pristine, high-paying job, and that everyone has the ability that they can compete for such jobs. I would say, well, relative, such a high-paying job, a high-status job as a surgeon, a doctor, someone working in a well-demanded hospital, they would need education. They would need proper schooling and education for this field that they choose to work in. They would need to be socially acceptable. They would need to be a person that higher ups would say, this is somebody we can put under our wing and to control in this establishment and institution. There are many other factors that play a part into somebody or groups of people working into a high-paying job. The simple throwaway statement that everyone can compete for a high-paying job with benefits as such is too extreme. It's a fact that not everybody has the availability and access to apply for high-paying jobs or even dream of having a high-paying job. Honestly, relative, if you were to ask some people down the street from where we live, it is a dream and it should be great that we all have food in the fridge, but that's just simply not the truth. It's the extremity to say that everyone has this access. Everybody can stand up if they wanted to, because that's not always the case. Some people are severely depressed and can't get out of bed. Some people are paralyzed in their legs and can't get out of bed. It's the extremity of you relatives saying that, well, you can and so you should, and it's just that simple. My relative continues in their conversation, well, that the labor market is equal to everyone and that And that if someone is living in poverty, it's because they failed to do the hard work to get the education, or they just simply don't want the upward mobility. And I'd say, relative, that is just a highly insensitive statement that you had just made. It is very insulting to say that. The factual conversation concludes that the very definition of poverty is a lack of access to resources needed to thrive. People who live in poverty do not have the access to the resources they need to be alive, to thrive, to be alive, to survive. These resources being water, food, and quite frankly, feminine menstrual products. Now, there's a divider in me. There's, more of a detail being put in what is accessible water, what is accessible food, because some people may have the privilege to say, oh, I get my filtered, I have refrigerated filtered water. Some people says, well, I'm just glad that my water doesn't have parasites in it. Like, the fact that there is such a division between drinkable water, that's also a big point. Food, it's a shame that food that is beneficial to our bodies, fruits, vegetables, a source of protein, that some people don't have that access to nurturing foods. McDonald's, as inflation is affecting as it is, prices raise up, and it's hard for people to have 3 meals and snacks in between to eat. And that is simply a fact. To say that everybody has access to food and water is simply not true. To say that people living in poverty is a choice is just insensitive and not true. To imply that they are lazy and just failed to work hard is highly insensitive. The insulting perpetual implication that someone in poverty is lazy is a harmful social construction that is not always true. And the flip side of this extreme scenario, of this extreme conversation that we're having, it's like saying that rich people don't brush their teeth, that all rich people don't brush their own teeth, somebody comes to dress them, they always have a chauffeur, that rich people always throw away their clothes and they burn it once they're done wearing it for this event, is simply not true. It's the extreme statement that everybody always does this with this type of people, that rich people always act this way or follow these ways because they are rich. That's simply not true. People that brush their teeth. People have washers and dryers to rewash their clothes. It's just a fact. It's the middle it's just the middle ground standing of this conversation. It's not always black or white. There are some factors that put people in the positions that they are, whether they ask for it or not. That's unfortunately the life that we live in. And this is my sociological imagination being less definite, dearest relative. I would finish this point that my relative had made about poverty and people living in poverty, them being lazy and less hardworking. I would say, dearest relative, poverty is a social problem caused by social factors. And that in America, especially in this capitalistic society, money is everything. And in the US, money guarantees access to material goods and has access to a lot of power. That wealth is the most significant way of distinguishing class and social status, because wealth can be transferred generationally and perpetuate a class structure in this cycle. And not everybody has generational wealth. Not every family has obtained generational wealth that they can pass on, obviously, for generations to come. Around this point, my relative would probably not hear me out. So I would be able to communicate these points very calm and respectfully. I would scrape up my plate. Thank you for being here, family. Always good to see ya. See you on the next one.